On the news, APC presidential aspirants to cough out 100 million naira as party adopts indirect primaries. Nigerian Air Force confirms death of 2 pilots in Kaduna trainer aircraft crash. And Lagos officials grill Chrisland management and parents over allegation of sexual abuse. Well, it's good to have you join us in News Now. I am Mary Kanu. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Abdullahi Adamu, has called for a discontinuation of the present rancor within the party. Adamu said the ego displayed within the party has widened the gap between the former and serving governors and poses a risk of causing a divide in the party. He made this known during the National Executive Committee meeting in Abuja on Wednesday. President Muhammadu Buhari, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, and other members were present. Earlier, President Buhari, in his remark, urged the National Working Committee to follow due process in the execution of their duties.
Our party constitution makes no room for 2 state leaders of the party. There's no reason to compete with the serving governors for the leadership of the party. They were supreme in their days in the past. They cannot be supreme now. They must become statesmen in their own right, but they must allow the governors to do their job. They must feel free to offer advice, but they must not insist on the superior wisdom over the current governors. The former governors, some of whom are now senators, are still powerful political leaders in their own right. They remain absolutely relevant in the affairs of the party in their various states. The serving state governors cannot afford to treat them with disrespect or seek to undermine their relevance in the scheme of things without being damaged to the party.
The critical task ahead of you remains to continue to forge the unity of purpose among party members and to seek and to keep securing needful compromises in the interest of our great party. I enjoin you all to recognize the place of due process in all our tasks as managers of the party. We must develop party inbuilt mechanisms against corruption. Our success in 2023 will depend more on our capacity to respect our own extant rules and regulations.
Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress has pegged the price of its presidential nomination form at 100 million naira. Also, the nomination and expression of interest forms for those seeking the party's ticket to contest the governorship election in their respective states cost 50 million naira. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Felix Moka, made this known shortly after the 11th National Executive meeting in Abuja on Wednesday. He, however, explained that women are entitled to free nomination forms but will pay for the expression of interest forms, adding that the sale of forms will commence on April 22nd, 2022. Meanwhile, several chieftains of the ruling party, including aides to President Muhammadu Buhari and serving governors, have indicated their interest to succeed him when his tenure ends in 2023. Well, to speak more on this, Jide Ojo, political affairs analyst, joins us now on the news. Well, thank you for joining us on the news. Now, so after months of speculation, the APC has finally decided to go with the indirect mode, leaving candidates both at the presidential and governorship levels to test their popularity among party members. Now, with a long list of aspirants, how do you see this playing out?
Well, I think it's more democratic to go indirect than to go consensus. And I'm really, I should say I'm happy that APC decided to adopt either direct or indirect and forego the issue of consensus, which has torn the party apart since last year when it held its congresses, and even more recently, last month when it held its national convention. So I'm glad in that the fate of the president or the presidential candidate of APC will be determined by 7,800 delegates who have already emerged during the forthcoming the presidential primary coming up sometimes in May. I think May 29, 30, or 31st. So it's a welcome development. This is what many of us have been waiting for, because as the ruling party, the APC sets the pace for others to follow. And I just look forward to a credible party primaries. Suffice to say that Electoral 2022 has mandated all registered political parties who wants to conduct their primaries to submit the list of their members, both in hard and soft copy, to INEC 30 days to the election, 30 days to the primaries. So I do hope that APC will be in full compliance and will submit to INEC before the end of, May 28 or 29, depending on when it intended to, before May, when it intended to start its party primaries. It has to submit both hard and soft copy of its party members list to INEC. So they also have to give INEC 21 days notice before the primaries will be held. As regards the issue of nomination fee, this is a new height. Recall that in 2014, APC charged 27.5 million for presidential candidates, for presidential aspirants. And in 2018, ahead of 2019 election, it charged 45 million for presidential aspirants. Now it has taken it to 100 million. Any of the juggernauts who have already declared their intention should be able to pay this because many of them are former governors or people who are very successful in their own right. Is it Yahya Bello that shouldn't be able to pay, or Jagaban, who is a billionaire in dollars, or our vice president whose assets as of 2015 was close to 1 billion naira in the asset declaration form, or Rotimi Amici, who has served as two-time Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly, two-time Governor of Rivers State, and now two-time Minister under the current administration. Now, so all of them are capable of paying the 100 million. And I think it's just to reduce the number of aspirants that amount was charged, so that there won't be too many aspirants under APC.
Well, still talking about the nomination forms, just before the APC chairmanship elections, aspirants had purchased nomination forms but were later made to adopt a consensus candidate. Now, do you see that same scenario playing out later?
And I shouldn't encourage them to take the consensus option. It's not going to work. It's going to be counterproductive. Mary, you cannot put down 100 million, buy the nomination forms, campaign. Already we've seen Rotimi Amechi going around the traditional rulers and states, canvassing for their support. This costs a lot of resources. And then sometimes when they now have to go for the primary, somebody will now say, step down and let's go for consensus. Well, they can explore the possibility of reducing the number among themselves. We should also be mindful of the fact that having a consensus arrangement under the current electoral 2022 is more cumbersome than what operates within the APC as a party. In APC, you, as a party, you possibly don't need to formally write to withdraw your aspiration. You also don't need to endorse. But right now, under the Electoral 2022, you not only have to formally write to withdraw from the race, you also must endorse the so-called consensus candidate. And aside from these two, you also must note that this, what about who reimburses the loss, the money that each of these aspirants may have incurred, the cost they have incurred in the course of their electioneering campaign ahead of the party primaries.
Well,
So in
Gideon
order not to create...
I'm afraid I would have to cut you here. For want of time, I'm afraid I'll have to cut you here. Jide Ojo, political affairs analyst, thank you very much for joining us on the news and for your contribution. Well, moving on, the Nigerian Air Force Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, has confirmed the death of 2 officers in the Kaduna trainer aircraft. In the statement on Wednesday, Gapquet identified the officers as Flight Lieutenant Abubakar Al-Kali and Flight Lieutenant Elijah Karatu. He revealed that the Chief of Staff Air Marshal Oladayo Amao visited Kaduna a day after the aircraft crashed to commiserate with families, friends and colleagues of the 2 pilots. Amao, according to the NAF spokesman, promised that the Air Force would ensure it thoroughly investigates the cause of the crash of the Super Mushak trainer aircraft. Well, to further consolidate the relations between Nigeria and France, the Western Naval Command has played host to the delegations of the Atlantic French Naval Forces in Apapa, Lagos State. Speaking of the event, the Chief Staff Officer, Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Hamzat Kaoje, said the continuous participation of both countries in several foreign courses and peacekeeping missions has led to a reduction in maritime crimes. Our correspondent Mojisala Matomi now reports.
Over the years, Nigeria and France have collaborated in the fight to counter piracy, crude oil theft and other maritime crimes. But in a bid to further strengthen the partnership between both countries, the Atlantic French Naval Forces have paid a courtesy visit to the Western Naval Command. According to the Chief of the Atlantic French Naval Force, the visit would enable both nations to work together to increase maritime security and help boost more fruitful working relationships to fight crime on the sea.
Think about the maritime security in the region, and I would like really to highlight the very strong commitment of Nigerian authorities and Nigerian Navy to tackle with piracy, and we can observe today the huge decrease of this threat during the last year. Thanks to all these efforts and the huge contribution, the major contribution of your country and your Navy to tackle this issue.
While commending the efforts of the French Naval Force, the acting flag officer of the Western Naval Command called for more exercise and training for the Nigerian Army to help enhance the operational efficiency of the troops.
The Nigerian Navy also in its effort to recapitalize its fleet. Recently, we, as you rightly also said, we bought some vessels from your country. Since they were inducted into the naval fleet, Nigerian naval fleet, we have seen the impact they have made in the Gulf of Guinea. Also, not out of place to request, as you also pointed out, we need to collaborate more in the area of training. With the coming of NS Lana, we request for more training on oceanography and cartography.
Speaking of the prevailing oil theft the country is facing, Rear Admiral Hamzat Kaoje says more efforts will be intensified in curbing the menace in Nigeria.
You are all aware that over some times now, we have had a lot of crude oil theft. Nigerian Navy has deployed over 26 vessels. When I say vessels, I mean different categories of vessels to the south-south, Niger Delta now, and there is this operation, Dr. Barao, is ongoing, and I'm sure some of you have heard or seen some of the arrests that were made. That is just the beginning.
As a result of efforts by the Nigerian Navy in collaboration with other agencies to fight maritime insecurity, Nigeria has been removed from the International Maritime Bureau's piracy list. Mojisola Matomi, TV360, Lagos.
Relevant persons linked to the alleged Chrisland school scandal are presently undergoing scrutiny at the Lagos State Ministry of Education Quality Assurance Conference Hall, Lausa, in Ikeja. According to reports, officials of the Education Quality Assurance and those of the Directorate of Public Prosecution are interrogating representatives of the school management as well as the parents of the affected pupils. A mother had alleged that her daughter was sexually abused during the school's participation in the World School Games at Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Following the allegation, the Lagos state government has since shut down all branches of Chrisland schools in various parts of the state. And lawmakers in the Lagos State House of Assembly representing Ikeja constituency, Folajimi Lai Mohammed, has helped in the creation of various skill acquisition centers and giving back to the youths in his constituency. While speaking during the launch of the centers, Folajimi emphasized that this project is aimed at empowering youths with necessary entrepreneurial skills that will take them out of the labor market. Stakeholders at the event also lauded the effort of the lawmaker and admonished youths to take advantage of the training to develop themselves.
Well, my message to the constituency is that I'm giving back to you what you have given to me for being an elected person. And I think it's time that I show my appreciation also to enable me to alleviate poverty, to enable me to engage and empower the people.
What we're going to do to continuously to encourage the youth is to offer an annual scholarship to outstanding footballers from the community. So they will have opportunity to have what is called school paid for, fully paid for, as well as opportunity to develop their talent football-wise. As a management company, we're going to be helping such a talent to manage his or her career throughout their early age up to the age of 18. So those kind of projects are things that will be included in what Honorable Jimmy has done.
ICT is the present and is the future of the global economy. And to have put together that center where the youths can come, improve and sharpen their IT skills, where even schoolboys, schoolgirls can come, go to e-library, have access to that. What can I say but to say, well done.
In the bid to achieve youth inclusivity in its campaign against corruption, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has launched the youth arm of its organization, SERAP Accountability Club. At the event in Lagos on Wednesday, officials of SERAP swore in key executives of the club. Speaking to newsmen, the program officer Folashade Aribabu said the club will help university students express themselves freely and speak against various crimes in the country. On his part, one of the coordinators of SERAP Accountability Club explained that the platform has been beneficial so far.
The goal and objective of SAC is to be able to promote the inclusion so that students and young persons can feel like they belong in this process. So they have to own the fight again. Someone said that the old is gone, the new is come, and this is the set of the new that is come. So they need to understand. And again, another thing we do is increase awareness on the procedures and the mechanisms for transparency and accountability in their school, in their communities, anywhere they are. They can be accountability agents and anti-corruption agents wherever they are.
It's an opportunity for us to join a group of people who are pushing against the issue of corruption, which has been, to me, the greatest problem Nigeria is having as a country. Then being here in this conference has also given me an opportunity to feel that we need to bring in transparency, we need to bring in accountability. These things is not a rocket science. It's something that can actually be done if all of us actually get ready and then be ready to do the right thing at the right time. Many a time people fall victims of human rights violations because they refuse to speak out. We've heard a lot of issues of rape, a lot of issues of abuses and assault going on across our campuses.
A part of the initiative that engages state youth in advocacy initiatives, in the fight against corruption, and it's more or less a capacity building initiative that empowers them to know what they ought to know to be able to engage government positively as part of their civic responsibilities as Nigerians.
Well, we'll take a break here, but still to come, the International Monetary Fund warns of cryptocurrency risk. Details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. A recap of some of our top stories tonight. The All Progressives Congress, APC, has pegged the price of its presidential nomination form at 100 million naira. Also, the nomination and expression of interest forms for those seeking the party's ticket to contest the governorship election in their respective states cost 50 million naira. We also told you that the Nigerian Air Force Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, has confirmed the death of 2 officers in the Kaduna trainer aircraft. In a statement on Wednesday, Gapquet identified the officers as Flight Lieutenant Abubakar Al-Khali and Flight Lieutenant Elijah Karatu. Well, in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, to log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. India's health ministry has revealed that the tally of daily COVID-19 cases has reached more than 2,000 for the first time in a month. India was at the center of the global COVID crisis this time last year, but the situation has improved since then, and most precautions, including the wearing of masks, have recently been dropped, but cases have been creeping up in the country of 1.3 billion people in the past few days. Authorities reported 2,183 new infections on Monday, taking the run in total to more than 43 million, while 214 deaths were recorded on April 14, which brings the total number of deaths from COVID-19 to about 522,000. We'll take a break now and return with business updates. Do stay with us. Welcome back. It's time for business news and stock market review with Simisola Adigun. Simisola, over to you.
Mary, welcome to business. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, says about 13 million passengers traveled through the Nigerian airports in 2021. The figure represents a growth rate of 43.41% from 9 million recorded in 2020. The NBS, in its recent Air Transportation Report for 2021, further disclosed that the total number of arrivals in 2021 stood at 6.5 million, which was higher compared to the 4.9 million recorded in 2020. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has warned that a spike in cryptocurrency trading in emerging markets such as Nigeria could impact global financial systems. In its Global Financial Stability Report, the IMF disclosed volumes of crypto assets against some emerging market currencies have spiked since the West sanctioned Russia. To safeguard the financial system against risks from cryptocurrencies, the IMF advised policymakers to develop global standards for crypto assets, adding that stronger oversight of fintech firms and decentralized finance platforms is needed to mitigate their risks. We'll take a short break here and be back with Stock Market Review. For the second day running, trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended on a positive note, ending the market in the bulls territory. Investors gained 319 billion naira as all-share index inched up further by 1.25% to close at 47,554.86 basis points, while market capitalization stands at 25.6 trillion naira. As 116 equities traded on the floor of the stock exchange, Etana and Jaipur Gold led 27 other gainers against 19 losers, ending a combined 5 naira 83 kobo. On the flip side, the losers counter is topped by Union Dye Consult and Computer Warehouse Group with a combined loss of 9 naira 83 kobo. For Wednesday, a total of 349 million volume of shares with a market value of 3.7 billion naira exchange stands in 4,587 deals. On the global market, our select stocks, UK's FTSE, US Dow Jones and Japan's Nikkei saw strong gains on Tuesday. Likewise, Treasury yields rose as expectations of sharp Federal Reserve policy tightening to damp pressure hardened, hence the positive earnings. The stocks ended at 0.37%, 0.90% and 0.86% respectively. That's all on Stock Market Reports. Back to you, Mary.
Awesome, Salah, thank you for that update. On the global scene, a commander for the Ukrainian Marines fighting Russian forces in Mariupol says his forces may be facing their last days, if not hours, as Russia issued a new ultimatum to fighters holding out inside a steel plant in the besieged city. Hundreds of civilians are believed to be sheltering in the basement of the besieged Azovstal factory, a vast plant with underground tunnels. According to Russian information, some 2,500 Ukrainian fighters and 400 foreign mercenaries are holed up in the steelworks, while Ukrainian reports say approximately 1,000 civilians are said to have sought protection there. Russia shifted its focus to eastern Ukraine in the last week of March after its forces withdrew from Kyiv and its adjoining areas, ending what Moscow called the first phase of the war. Well, up next is Entertainment Report.
Movie director Dare Olaitan has unveiled the first teaser for Ileowo, which means House of Money. The gripping 1-minute first look features Bisola Ayola, Efa Iwara, Tinamba, Sophie Alakija, amongst many others. In the synopsis, Busola, who has always been unlucky with love, bows to pressure from society to get married as a means to lift her family out of poverty. When Busola finally accepts a marriage proposal from Tunji, a billionaire, a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries lead her to an unimaginable truth. Written and directed by Olaitan, the film is the first thriller genre co-produced by Kayode Kosum's Tribe, Singularity Media and Film One Entertainment. Ileowo will debut in cinemas on June 24, 2022, with Film One as distributors. Nigerian singer Rema has hinted on a musical collaboration with rapper Olamide just days after confirming multiple collaborations with Fireboy DML. Rema revealed this while answering questions on his Instagram story. Although Rema didn't share when the deluxe edition of the trending album will be released, he confirmed his plans to include trap songs on the deluxe edition of Rave and Roses. And that's all we have on the entertainment segment of News Now.
And now in sports, reeling from Tuesday's 4-0 defeat to Liverpool, Manchester United chief scout Jim Lulor and head of global scouting Marcel Bolt have left the club. Interim manager Ralph Rangnick said after the match that United needed as many as 10 new players in order to close the gap, and a shake-up to the recruitment team was announced on Wednesday. Lolo ended his 16-year association with the club and Balto came to Old Trafford as part of Louis van Gaal's backroom team in 2014 has also left. Recruitment has been pinpointed as one of United's major failings in a 5-year trophy drought, despite being one of the biggest spenders in the transfer market. Well, that's the size of a news bulletin this evening. Many thanks for watching. I am Mary Kanu.